Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Fridays with Foster. This is the first official installment of the Fridays with Foster video series, I guess we'll call it. And we're just kind of moving this along and allowing it to evolve as it would. I got to be honest, it's really weird presenting to myself which is actually what I'm doing right now, looking at myself. I'm I know I'm not normally a good listener, so I'm probably not the best person to be taking notes from to see if they're actually engaged. But I'm definitely excited to be here. And a great question that was posed by another friend, another coach named Bruce Wilson in New Zealand. He was asking himself, why is he doing these videos? He does these great videos called Weekday Wisdoms. And Bruce has a wonderful way of communicating and has personally and professionally been very helpful to me over the last, 8 years or so. And so I, when I look at the reasons why, there's a couple things. Number one, anybody who's spent any amount of time on Facebook knows that there is a lot of general negativity, sarcasm, things like that. I often joke that my first language is sarcasm. English is actually my second language, so I need to work on getting over that. And I'm trying to, and I think being on here and being authentic and not feeling the need to do that is a great step. So on a personal note, there's a couple things. First, some of you know that my wife Nikki and I are expecting a baby next week, which is awesome. The 21st of October, if we make it to that point, we've got a scheduled C-section. So a lot of things are going to shift. I'm expecting next week's uh, Fridays with Foster to be at the hospital. I'm assuming, although I'm not going to make any promises, because if she says we're not doing it, or if I'm in charge of the baby, whatever happens, happens. But I will do my best to share that experience because I think it's interesting. Um, the other thing too, on a personal note, is that some of you may not be aware of. So I have a daughter on the autism spectrum, and she's on the high functioning side. She just turned 18. Her name is Emma. She's wonderful. There's a picture of her right over my shoulder. And it's funny when I talk about sarcasm, they say be careful what you pray for. So when I look at the way I communicate and how I want to be less sarcastic, um, when I look at ways to go about doing that, Emma is in my life as a reminder of that. As part of her autism spectrum disorder, she doesn't understand sarcasm. She really can't process that level of communication. So I try and remember that and using that as a tool when I communicate in general, that there's an opportunity to learn from various people around me to change into the kind of person I want to be and to communicate in a way that's best suited usually for the person I'm communicating with, not with me. We often say that we don't really like the to practice the golden rule, which is treat others the way you want to be treated. Most people that are watching this probably don't want to be treated the way Foster wants to be treated. We like to utilize the platinum rule, which is treat others the way they want to be treated, communicate with them the way they want to be communicated with. My daughter and most people throughout my day, they do not want to be communicated with via sarcasm. So at any rate, uh, as everybody is getting on here, and I think I will see comments that come up, and as they come, I want this to be an engaging uh, medium. I want people to come in here asking questions and engaging with me so it's interactive. You don't want to just hear me talk the entire time. When I get back to the reason why I'm doing this, I like to practice what I call business acupuncture, or life acupuncture really is what it is. And when I focus on something over here in my business, other areas of my business grow. So what I'm trying to do with Fridays with Foster is I'm trying to engage people, provide useful information, hopefully some entertainment at the same time, so it's not bland. And other areas of people's businesses and my business will grow as a result of that. If I'm only focusing on trying to get mine, uh, it will most likely fall short, or even if there is a slight bit of success, it's not going to be anywhere near where it could be. So, um, here's where I guess we go into the coffee mode. So we've got today we're drinking Puerto Rico Nespresso, um, and it's actually touted to be intense and creamy with aromatic notes of cocoa and black pepper. I would love to pretend like I can taste all of that when I taste it, but full disclosure, I most likely won't be able to. So here it goes. So we'll take a sip and see how it is. It's definitely strong. That's probably a 10. Um, I mean, I taste the cocoa. It tastes a little bit, it's hitting the back of my tongue a little bit. I don't know. Um, I obviously have an unsophisticated palate, but I'm working on it. All right. So question is, what are we going to discuss? So today, what I thought was instead of me determining what people wanted to hear, there were a couple things that I wanted to do. Number one is again, I leave the comment and posting open. So if there's something you want to talk about, an issue that you want to discuss, if there's a challenge that you have within your business, please put it up in the chat window, and I'll be happy to look at it or address it if I can, which most likely I can. But in lieu of that, I thought what I would do is would leave the topics to the fates. So what I have is I have two coffee mugs. All right. Um, and in one coffee mug, I've got some topics. You can kind of hear them in there. These are different areas of the business. So we've got all businesses have basically five main areas. So there's sales, marketing, operations, HR, and financials. On the other side, we've got various topics, and these could change over time. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and combine the two and see what we come up with. Um, in the topic cup, we've got mindset, process, team, time, um, leadership, and money. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one from each, and then we're going to just come up with the topic and see what happens from that. So throughout the process, if you have any comments or anything to put on there, by all means put them in. But first, we'll go ahead and pick from the area. Let's see what we've got. Okay, this is all right. Financials, promise, and they don't all say financials. I'm not trying to stack the deck. All right, and let's see. Process. Okay. Um, so one of the things that's really important that we see with a lot of businesses, small to mid-size, and I think the Small Business Association actually defines a small business as any business with less than 300 employees. I believe that last count, that's what I saw it as. So um, the the mainstay of the initial financials are the problems occur, what I've seen through the beginning and into a transition in the business that the financials don't necessarily follow through with. And I'll explain. One thing that occurs is a business grows. There are certain categories in the financials that are done in P&L, whether you use QuickBooks or some other software, but you're not necessarily categorizing things appropriately. And when you're a business that's, under $500,000 or under $1 million, you can really get away with that and not make too many big mistakes. The problem is the more money your business makes, the bigger the mistakes are. And by mistakes, I'm not saying that, you just leave, $50,000 off of the line item. But what we really like to do is we really like to run our business through the windshield rather than the rear view mirror. So a P&L is great for a rear view mirror type of decision making process. You can go back. It's really important to learn, what did we do? How did we do it? What did we learn? What do we need to change? But there's a reason that the rear view mirror is so small and the front windshield is so big, is because we need a much broader view moving forward with our financials and the financial understanding when it comes to our planning. So in the rearview mirror, again, we like to look at P&L at usually just a stagnant report. Maybe you would have a percentage of income or percentage of revenue that you can start making some decisions from and look at the cost of goods sold as a percentage and do it as a comparison of best in class. But on the front end and looking through the windshield and really trying to drive forward with your planning and your business, you really want to look at things like an operational budget or a cash flow budget, and this should be something where you're doing a comparison month to month. So what you spent versus what you're expecting to spend, what you have sold, what you need to sell. That's also where the planning comes from and looking in the future. And a lot of times people will make an annual budget and raise your hand if you've done this. You'll make an annual budget and then you'll look at it maybe once a quarter or maybe twice a year, or when your accountant calls you, you'll pull it up. But what we want to do is we want that to be a living, breathing document. So where's the process in this? It's a great question. The process when it comes to financials has to be a few things. It's got to be something that's consistent, replicable, sustainable, and scalable. So when you're looking at the way that you break down categories in your financials and how you do your numbers and reporting, you want it to be the same reports every time, or you're going to be comparing, Fuji apples to Gala apples or something like that. They might be apples, but and they might seem like there's something there, but it really is not giving you the right comparison. The other thing is you want, if it's whoever's in charge of your numbers, you really need to draw the line. I've worked with a lot of businesses that, believe it or not, they pay companies to do their books, and they get them at different times throughout the month, every month. Sometimes they'll get it on the 6th. Sometimes they'll get it on the 10th. I had one client I was working with was paying a company, I don't know, $750 a month, and they weren't getting their numbers till the 19th of that month. It's like, how are you possibly supposed to make a decision about anything or learn from anything unless you're just doing it every other month, and you're losing because you're going to be almost an entire month behind when you don't get it till the 19th. So a lot of times when you kind of lay down that boundary with whoever's doing your numbers internally or externally, it makes a significant shift in how you can make decisions. The only reason that we measure numbers is so we can make decisions from them. So if you have a process that you're following, but you're not actually making decisions based on those numbers, there's a problem. We don't want to make decisions based on the wrong numbers, and we don't want to not make decisions and not look at our financials. When a business is just starting, or even if they're a few years into it, they are just used to maybe using their registry. A lot of times they base their success on how much money's in the bank at the end of the month. But what we really want to do is we want to lead through the windshield. We want to make sure that whoever is working on your books is doing so in a standard process, a standard method. And there are really only a few ways that you can do it consistently. Excuse me, I don't have the Rona. I was actually out running this morning. It was like 35 degrees, which is ridiculous. It has nothing to do with financials, but running in the cold just doesn't really work with me. So if anybody has any questions or anything that they want to put up, I'm definitely happy to answer anything or have a discussion. If you've got some financial issues, or if there's something not financial or process related, that's fine as well. Um, Again, we really want to look at the a balance versus actual P&L. We're going to look at that on a monthly basis. Your balance sheet, probably want to look at that at the end of every quarter, maybe twice a year to really dig into it. And then that cash flow budget we want to look at every single month, and we want to see where you are versus where you're expected to be. You don't want to get into a situation where you could have made a shift knowing a major investment was coming up or some expense was coming up, and because you didn't put it in the budget, didn't put it in numbers, you're not looking at it until after the fact. And then you wonder why, you're expecting to have much more cash on hand. And cash is king, but budgets are queen. So I'm gonna keep that in mind. So unless I see anybody else popping on, or if there's other times you want to go ahead and like the Facebook page, Action Coach Foster McCarl, so you can go on there and post some different things. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm not on Facebook all the time, but I'm going to do the best I can to answer questions and just try and help people out. In the end, if there's an opportunity for me to work with people that are watching this or whatever it might be, that's great. But this is a great way for people to get to know me, who I am, what I do, and why I do what I do. And I can help you in your business in the meantime anyway. And that's what I'm really focusing on. So, without further ado, I guess I will see you next week from the hospital. I'm assuming. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And if you want to take this and share it with any business owners that you think may be in need, we like to say that we're more of a fitness center than a hospital. So we like helping people to get better and stronger, not necessarily to recover. That's not where I can move the needle the most for businesses. So if you have any questions, by all means, reach out. I'll figure out some kind of catchy um, uh, phrase for exit and entering these things, but for the time being, the fact that I'm doing it and doing it on time is good enough for me. So I appreciate that. See y'all. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thanks.